Me, usually my hair's doing something crazy.
Yeah.
Roger, what about your eyebrows? Did you do eyebrow work before doing this?
Quite a while. Yeah.
It's our immediate pre.
Have you guys ever seen some? Have you ever done the close? Have you ever done the close up of Roger's eyebrows? He's got like those kind of like Vulcan eyebrows. They go up.
He has mad scientist eyebrows. Yes.
Yes, he does. Mad scientist.
That's the immediate pre-grooming habits of the What's on Joe Mind Teamstream. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
After you watch our kick-ass theme song, stay with us.
We lost Josh already.
Good Lord. You didn't even get through the theme song, but good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 9:05. Welcome to the What's on Joe Mind Teamstream. Thanks for staying tuned. Thanks for staying tuned to the end of Atlanta Hawks basketball here on the Superstation. How's everybody? I'm your host, Mike Irizarry.
I mean,
I'm great.
I finally figured out where my eyebrows went. So, mystery solved. Check that one off. All right.
Right. I needed to. I hit the start button when you were doing your thing with the feature grooming. So
good.
Mad scientist eyebrows.
That's it.
When Mark goes full Odo, you can't beat that. That's quality television.
I look so young.
The cheapest big spender says tonight's the night Mike showed true brotherly love, kicking Rob to the curb. In a way, yes, because it means Rob is spared from this nonsense. But no, rack time Rob is fine. He's in the other room. But look, Mark's got tenure, so Mark is the last guy out at this point. So that's how this goes.
Tenure. Ricky got 10, 12 years on some of these guys.
Right. But Rob is with us. Rob is with us in the live chat, so everybody be sure to say hello as he announces his eyebrow goals, Bert from Sesame Street. But anyways, joining me here in the top row, he is our tenured co-host for the evening. The former head of marketing for the G.I. Joe brand at Hasbro. It's the hot show, Mark Weber.
Slowly taking over, man. Let me tell you. Aside from us getting us demonetized and running the only 2-digit long episode of What's on Joe Mind, right. I think I'm fully qualified to run this ship. So just so you all know, you got a fine lieutenant. Your co-pilot is ready, and you are in excellent hands.
Right. If we ever need that episode, we need to get a full episode in 41 minutes or less. Mark Weber.
I can do it. I can do it in an hour and a half and play a baseball game within. So you just let me know. I should set up the Joes against the Cobra All-Stars. Oh, that's eternal baseball, baby.
And in the bottom row, if you've been with us for a while, you've seen these guys before. But they are the head of the After Action Report project. It's Josh Eggebin and Roger Taft. Welcome aboard, gentlemen.
At this point, I think I'm a What's on Joe Mind intern.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm the technical difficulty king.
Yes.
Yeah, you're IT.
I'm Rob's understudy.
Right. Like we got Josh. Turns out the best place to put him is in a cave. Where he has his best lighting and his best sound. Cave. So whatever. I'm not here to argue. Things just work out that way.
Everybody's got their little place where they work. This is my office now. It's in California. I used to live in Moab, and so I put a loft bed up there. So I crawl up there to go to sleep, and then I work down here. Everything else is comic books and books.
Right.
Move to California, get a bunk bed.
Yep. He's in an alley behind a 7-Eleven.
Right.
But I do have artwork for G.I. Joe on the walls in my alley.
Well, there you go then. There you go. But of course, we are here to talk about the new After Action Report project. We will get to that soon enough. Of course, we've got a full episode of lots of other fun stuff to go.
Hilarity to ensue.
Right. Diana Davis asks, where are you now, Josh? And I think the answer is reasonably close to Diana Davis.
Yes, not too far. I'm in West Covina. Just basically got out here full time in December.
There you go.
And then
how'd you get to West Covina specifically from Moab?
He took a left turn in Albuquerque.
the apartment style that I was looking for was found here, and the price. I didn't really care where I lived, so I went just like apartment hunting everywhere, and I was like, oh, this is the one. I still do like Uber and Lyft and stuff like that, so I needed an apartment that I could like walk out the door and get in the car and go. So, that was a big deal.
I was looking a little more constructively. Did you take the 405 or did you go up Fountain? Or?
Oh, the highway. No, I took the long, beautiful way. I went south from Moab down through Monument Valley, over by Lake Powell, over to kind of near the Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, then to the 10, then into LA.
You take that all the way west?
Pretty much. Yeah. It's about a 12-hour drive. So
the lengths at which Mark will go to try and goad our guests into a Californian sketch is slow.
Hey, it's all about the highways out here. I mean, like, right? See, look, I see it in here. Diana's giving me directions on how to get around out here, on the different highway numbers. Now, here's the thing about Los Angeles, okay, is that you have to put the word "the" in front of the number. It's the 405, the 101, the 10, right? Like in other places, in other states, they don't use that. They use names, or they're just like, 95 or whatever.
No, we do that here in Florida too.
They use the? Really?
It depends on the road. Like if you're down in Orlando, it's the 429. It's one of the toll roads down there.
But if you'll notice, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, Super Chat is open for this episode. Tonight's Super Chat proceeds will be donated to the Veterans Memorial Beautification Project on GoFundMe. That is by the Howard County, Indiana Memorial Corporation. You've seen that on our social media feeds this week. Basically, the folks up in the neck of the woods of our wonderful sponsors, Kokomo Toys, they are working towards helping beautify the local war memorial in Kokomo, Indiana. So that's if you give us the honor of a Super Chat donation tonight, rather, that's where that money's going to go. Basically, cut it in half and send it over that way. I think we do have the link to that. If you want to make a donation, that's actually the better way to do it, because that means you're giving all the money to them. You're not giving half of your money to Google and then half of the money to them. So that's the better way, is to just go donate directly. But if you don't want to do all that and you want to donate through us, just know that any donations we collect tonight, that's where they're going. And that scroll is going to be up there all night. So just get used to it, because I can't say all of that 100 times or people are going to tune out in droves.
So it's a super scroll.
Right.
Okay.
Remember, if you're catching us on Facebook tonight, go ahead and give us some kind of a reaction. Give us a thumbs up or a heart or a little huggy guy. We do love little huggy guy. If you're catching us here on the YouTubes, we do call them home. So no matter where you're catching us, please head over to YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Be sure to like the video, do all the cool YouTube things. Leave a comment, like the video, share us in all your various social media circles, be those Facebook groups or Reddit pages or what have you. And do help us out, help us grow this thing. We continue to make slow and steady progress, but man, it's slow is probably in capital letters. So let's get the word out. Let's keep going. Give us a couple extra clicks where you can. Joe Malone, that's the stage name for our normal host, our regular guest host. The dog, fan of Joe Slepsky. But Roger and Josh make fantastic books. Great to see them on your show. They've been here before, Joe. Thanks for tuning in regularly.
Yes. But thank you.
Joe's a dog guy, so they knew their person.
Yeah, exactly. The now that I'm in an apartment, my dogs were with me, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's all these noises around." I was in a house before living in Utah. Now there's all these noises, so they're barking all the time. It's taken a while to get used to strange noises.
Well, they got to make sure you know about these things, man.
Yes, exactly. And I'm like, well, they are doing their job.
Right?
I don't pay them, but yeah.
But Figure Six Pack asked was the dog junkyard or order, and
Frank, it's definitely junkyard. If I can get her over here, she looks like the brown and black version of junkyard, like kind of those Rottweiler or whatever it was, not the solid black. But I have two dogs, so one is solid black, so it could be the junkyard of version 1, and then the later versions have the brown and black junkyard, something like that. So I have two junkyards.
Awesome. There you go. Double the mess, double the junkyard.
Yes, exactly.
But what do you say we will continue this discussion afterwards?
Okay.
First, let's move into community count.
Cobra's crazy weather patterns just swallow up my signals.
Shipless layabout. Shipless layabout.
There we go. Everybody's tripped out. And again, all proceeds collected tonight for everybody catching a screen cap. The Veterans Memorial Beautification Project, that is on GoFundMe for the Howard County Memorial Corporation, Kokomo, Indiana, fully accredited charity. So first up, of course, this weekend, it's Winterfest. That is in Shepherdsville, Kentucky, outside of Louisville, at the Paraquet Springs Conference Center. That is from 10 to 4 on Saturday. $8 gets you in the door. If you want to show up an hour early, $15 will get you that privilege. Or if you're showing up Friday night, there is a preview evening at 5 p.m. Through till 8 p.m., and that also includes admission the next day for the early bird. That'll cost you $30. Mr. Brian Lower and I will be in attendance at G.I. Joe Winterfest. Check us out. We will be on hand. I know he's planning on taking pictures and filming stuff. I probably won't do a whole lot because nobody watches those things when I do them. So, but we'll let him do them and certainly try to get in his way all the time. Anytime Brian busts out a camera, I'm going to trip him.
It looks like a pretty slick show.
It's got a logo.
well, it is by the fine folks at KY Joe. So
there we go.
Everything's a little bit slippery. Thankfully, it won't be the roads. Everything got warm-ish around here. It's almost 50 degrees at this point. So thank God, because last week was all icy and snow, and I was starting to really have some second thoughts. But everything got seasonably warm, we'll call it.
Warm, moist, and comfortable, just how you like it. There's no segue from that, by the way.
Dustin Jeffrey asks, free hugs for What's on Joe Mind. They'll be free. They won't help with your admission costs at all. But they will be free. If I can get pictures of people hugging Brian, though, I'll put up a collage of them. But Diana notes that is a slick logo for KYGI Joe Madness. That is very true.
Just pay to get in, man. Slide them a couple bucks. You'll be all right.
Slip them a few along the counter.
Yeah, and stick it in there and see what happens.
Right. That counter, it's long and stiff, so anyways.
See how long you can last in the KYGI Joe show.
Look, 6 hours is the most, so it's not too bad. Sure
if you last longer than
everybody's got one stretch of 6 hours in them at one point in their life. So.
If you last longer than 6 hours, you need to call a physician. Just say it.
But Dave McDonald, thank you for the donation. And he's got I don't understand the joke, but sure. So Scrap Iron, Flash, and Grand Slam would be catchers. I mean, they've got the padding.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
They're prepared.
Sean Russell, thank you too, sir. So if I buy the early bird, can I slide right in at 9? Yes, you can.
Ooh.
That's how that works. But
welcome back, Sean, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sean's been he's been out for a couple of weeks. He had some health stuff going on. So first off, cut that out. And second off, welcome back. Appreciate you. But yeah, Matt Rubin concerned. Someone needs to go to the ER for 6 hours in a toy show, man. Come on, you can do better than that. Come on.
Stamina, baby.
So that's GI Joe Winterfest again. That is this weekend. That is mostly Saturday the 27th, but again, if you're there early on the 26th, hey, they'll let you in. It just cost you a couple more dollars.
Some good timing on that one.
The Empire Strikes Back.
We got cats and dogs and all kinds of critters going on in this show today. Roger, is that one of yours?
Yep, that's one of mine. Trying to attack another one of mine.
Oh, good. At least they've got plans.
Meow, 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 meow.
I don't know why I've decided 20 seconds of me torturing my dad's cat is good video, but it is.
It's a cat video. I mean, come on. They're filled. The internet's filled with them.
That's right.
He's a pampered brute. Up next, we move forward to February 10th. We got the Toy-Hio toy show. That is at the wonderfully named Metroplex Expo Center in Girard, Ohio. $5 gets you in there. That is from 11 to 4 on February 10th. Early bird is $10. It gets you an hour early. Parking is free. Chance to hug Dave Draper, though, very low, as Dave Draper does not live in Ohio.
Right.
So that makes it difficult. You can see there they've got some guests. They've got Danhausen, so Mark is on board.
Mm-hmm.
They got Moose from TNA. They got Brian Myers, who's all over with his own action figure podcast. And I don't know who Captain Shoes is, but I bet he hasn't been doing his podcast for 13 years.
I mean, I'm not trying to be rude. Don't know who Captain Shoes is.
Not a clue.
I'm intrigued, but not familiar.
And then Jason Baker there, who's done a lot of movie effects and was the guy responsible for Bray Wyatt's Fiend mask and all that cool stuff. So lots of wrestling themed guests at this particular toy show, but promises to be a good one. So if you're anywhere around Gilald, head on out and check that one out. Only $5 gets you in the door. Need more information? Hit toyhiotoyshow.weebly.com, as you can see there on the screen. Roger, you making the trek up from Florida for that one?
No, I got plenty of shows here in Florida, so I don't really need to.
Why aren't you sending us emails to let us know about those?
Well, I'm not responsible for the show, but I am going to be at I think I'm going to be at a Joe show that weekend. There's one. Huh?
I say I'm at a Pasadena show out here on Sunday, 28th.
Nobody sends emails. I don't know about these things.
Well, I don't run the show, so
it's community calendar. I'm counting on the community.
So basically we send you an email and you say, hey, the AAR guys are going to be at this convention or con or whatever.
Yes.
Right.
That's how it works.
Right.
That's how it goes.
Okay. That's good to know.
Craig Cohan letting us know that Captain Shoes there, he is with Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. So, okay. He's part of the same deal as those guys. Okay.
Hey, I got no problem with Cardona and Myers. Good for them. So if they like Captain Shoes, I'm down with it.
And we're in with Captain Shoes. We hope we're in with Captain Shoes.
Yeah. Mike Rotunda finally knows where his hat went. he's coming for you, Captain Shoes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to be at that. It's a Star Wars and G.I. Joe show that same weekend in Orlando on the 11th.
Well, Roger, send me an email and I'll put it on next week's community calendar.
I just got booked for it about a week ago, so It's new news to me as well.
A whole week, Roger. It's a whole week.
Hey,
But you're a guest, right?
no, I'm not a guest at that one. I'm a guest at the one in May.
Roger just had one like 2 weeks ago or something where he was actually a guest. It's kind of a weird thought to be a guest at a convention. It's like you move from being a seller to like an artist alley table to being a guest. I think that's like a step in the like right direction, I guess.
It's a level up, yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you, man, I went straight from paying patron to guest, so I don't even know that artist alley stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
spoiled. But it happens. It's all right, man. You get out there, and we were popular once upon a time. Not so much anymore, but once upon a time.
Now you're all washed up.
Yeah, more or less.
Not me. I'm in my prime.
Rob is asking, does Captain Shoes hang with Lieutenant Slippers? I think they're married.
Oh. They're literally knocking boots.
Oh man.
Matt Rubin notes that Captain Shoes hangs with Socks the cat. There we go. Tie it all together.
That's right.
Nice job. Well done, Matt Rubin. That's Diana Davis asks, you'll be there both days, Josh?
Yes, I will. But I thought it was only the 28th. I better check.
Yeah, maybe you ought to look into that one.
Yeah, it's good to be on the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'll let you in Sunday if you don't show up Saturday.
Right.
To guess, I think they'll figure that you are no longer needing your table at that point.
Well, I got it right. I got the flyer right here.
That's not.
It says just the 28th. For
Okay.
Sunday. I guess is that readable?
No,
There we go.
It's a new way to do community calendar, but it saves Mike some PowerPoint time.
Right. I can't stop him, so I might as well just agree with whatever he says and let it go.
I'm gonna be at the Sharpie convention coming up.
Yeah, you have the flyer right here, so I got a little Pasadena Comic Con, Pasadena Convention.
Check out my table at the Toblerone show. Yeah,
I'm at the Tiny Screwdriver Convention.
I'm on printer cartridge. Printer cartridge. I got a printer cartridge.
check me out at fuelrod.com.
I'm kicking everybody out tonight.
Oh
no.
Next up is AwesomeCon, and granted, that's a little ways off. AwesomeCon is March 8th to 10th, but we would be remiss if we did not announce Joe Colton as a special guest at AwesomeCon.
Excellent.
Absolutely. That is at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center in Washington, D.C. Mark Weber, did they name Washington, D.C. after Walter E. Washington?
Sure.
Other guests include Arthur Adams, Hayden Christensen, Rosario Dawson, Tom Kenny, Jeff Loeb, Michael Rosenbaum, Tom Welling, Ming-Na Wen, The Wristlock, Wes Whitlock, and many, many more. Tickets and information are available to you at awesome-con.com. So yeah, technically she still works here, right?
Yeah. Alumnus.
I don't know if she's turning in her keys or not, but I we'll find out soon, I suppose. But yeah.
I'll go out. Man, I used to live in DC. I'll go to DC to see Ming-Na Wen.
There you go.
You bet. Sign me up.
You and Tom Kenny throw back a couple.
I mean, if he's next to Ming-Na Wen, sure. I mean,
and you can't argue with Ahsoka and Anakin together,
right?
Seems like they're going for a theme.
Yeah.
Plus, they got Superman and then Lex Luthor. So what do you? Come on now, it's a good show.
Right.
Looks like a good show.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably pay $200 to get yourself in the photo with Hayden and Rosario at the same time, or maybe 300.
Or zero if you just run through the background.
Yeah, Rob said she sent a community calendar notice. No, she didn't. She didn't. No. When she was showing up every week, I couldn't get her to let me know her schedule. I found that out on my own because I follow her on Facebook, and all the stuff that she posts shows up on my doorstep. So,
but we're leading by example because Mike is plugging her damn show.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Right? Somebody's got to. And of course, the Wristlock Wes Whitlock will be also a special guest. That's not his professional name, so I don't know how much I'm helping him there. But if you want to give Wes a hello, he's at Revenge City Cosplay.
I'm speaking from experience here, and this is not meant as a slight to Mrs. Colton nor Mr. Whitlock, but wait till you see the smiles on their faces when they aren't taking care of a newborn for a couple hours.
Right.
We all love our babies, but mom and daddy need a break now and then.
Could be a little much.
Yeah. So
a little much.
Yeah.
Especially by that point, kid will be 9 months old.
Yeah, she's dating now. I think.
Taking driver's ed classes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the age, right?
Pretty much.
I can't remember back that far, so I
start him young, Mike. Start him young.
Right. Excuse me. My Cherry Coke Zero causing problems.
I thought you need some more words in there. It doesn't have to be like vanilla, zero, Coke.
Uh-oh. He said the wrong word.
I'll not tolerate mocking my soda.
Lemon lime with a twist. On the rocks.
Normally it is on the rocks. I'll give you that one. I'm normally clinking ice, so that's true. But this time I just grabbed it out of the fridge. I was lazy. But again, that is March 8th to the 10th. That is a whole weekend. That's a big deal. It's kind of a pricey one, so be ready for that if you're interested in AwesomeCon. But it's something that I know that they've done and set up several years in a row, and this year they are actual official guests of the show. So it's a very big deal for the Colton and Wristlock family. So be sure if you're in the area and you're going to AwesomeCon, be sure to stop in and say, hey, I can't promise you that hugs will end well unless they are announced in advance. I'll throw that out there too. That's a public safety message from your Uncle Mike. Just make sure the hugs are approved.
You go in for a hug on Wes, he might think you're locking up, and no promises about what happens.
You'll smell that for a week.
That's right. He'll hit you with the garbage disposal, and that's a move.
I'm combining wrestling stories at this point. That's fine.
Hogan does it all the time.
I think he just what he does is called lying, Mark. I think that's the difference. I think that's the difference.
Claimed in his height that he wrestled 400 nights a year because he would cross over the international date line to wrestle in Japan.
Right.
And no one has the heart to tell him that the world doesn't work like that. But cool story, brother.
Torpedo Mike notes that Mango Habanero is judging cosplay contests while winning the kitty eating competition and setting a course lap speed record. And yeah, probably true.
Probably true. And moonsaulting off things because,
right,
got chromosomes all over the place.
Yeah, that half of the gene pool has to represent. Fleming says if West has to fold one and someone in half, I want video.
Yeah.
So do I, Michael. Yeah. So do I. You are not alone in that one.
I don't know if he has to, but he may decide to. Yeah.
I would. Let me rephrase that as not to be the one folded in half by making surly demands.
Yeah.
But I would very much like to see that video. Rob says that Mango Habanero would be downing the most jars of strained peas, or perhaps sweet potatoes. Maybe she's that kind of kid. Maybe she likes the extra fiber. That's it for Community Calendar. Remember, if you've got something you want to share with us, be sure to follow.
Just wave it at the screen.
Right. Just put it up in a little tiny box that no one can read. Or you could send us a link or a picture or everything at what'sonjoemind@gmail.com where we can actually include it in the segment. just a thought. Just a thought. Yeah. But
all right.
I got to play a closing shot here. Hang on.
I don't like where this is going.
Community calendar.
It's 4 or 5. It's jam.
She knows.
It's that time. I'm so my brother. I'm your host, Mike Aaron.
Hope to never experience that again.
I like that one because I look thin. But yeah, don't share them with us in the live chat. That's not helping. It's too late. Too late. We're even past the segment in the show. You do have to send an email. That's why I put the email up there.
Yeah. Don't sign them to the camera either, because that's not effective.
I'll just kick you out. It's just that simple.
Absolutely.
Well, I thought I was getting it.
I'm such a troublemaker, aren't I?
Means I have to juggle stuff around again, and I mean, if I cut you this time, Mark, then it means Roger's in the top row, and he certainly hasn't earned that.
I've been good. I'll do better.
I don't have the years.
Right? I think you're up to about a half dozen appearances, though. That's pretty good.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, it's up there. Josh is right behind you.
Yeah.
You guys do a lot of stuff, so the fact that you're on a lot speaks well of your community involvement.
Indeed.
Well, thank you.
Although we put Rob on every week, and he doesn't do nothing.
He doesn't do nothing. He doesn't even Rack Time Rob don't even do Rack Time.
Yeah,
Well, when they have comics, again, though. When they have comics again.
That's the theory.
He's a comic guy, though. So there's lots of comic news now.
Right, but like he's the one that I don't have to pay extra for.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I guess I get what I pay for. I suppose that's
Speaking of which, did you get our bill?
Right.
It was dismissed with your other invoices, Rob. we just put it in the pile with the other ones, and then lit the pile ablaze.
Mm-hmm.
Best way to take care of them.
That's what we do here.
Keeps us warm at night.
Hey, as long as everybody keeps laughing, I guess that's the main thing, right?
Generally, Matt Rubin says, it's going to be a good night when the co-hosts don't know which one of them is going to get cut by Mike. That's true. Diana Davis says that Cobra Commander 1 must be reviewed now. Look, anytime we do comic shows, well, when we did Rack Time in the past, there was always a 2-week moratorium on it. And we are not within that for Cobra Commander number 1 yet. So we don't, this way we get to speak freely and not ruin things for other folks. So
fair enough.
So yeah. So we would not do, that would be a next week thing anyway, which, maybe, hey, things could happen. You never know. Slepsky's hanging around somewhere. Maybe him and Rob want to do a Rack Time. Who knows? God forbid somebody else shows some initiative around here.
It was a fun read. I have to say, Cobra Commander was a fun read.
That it was. I will give the spoiler-free endorsement of Cobra Commander 1. But what do you say we move into the news? First news item.
Do.
And so we'll try and spend as little on this as possible. But SuperX has decided to release a small line of official G.I. Joe sweatsuits, which I don't understand who the audience is here, but sure. They are officially licensed. They're available in Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow flavors. They are limited edition, only $999 made. I don't know if that's $999 of each piece. I whatever. Snake Eyes hoodies, $109. Storm Shadow sleeveless hoodies are $99. So there you go, kids. Going right on sleeves, $10. Tactical joggers, which are the pants, they are $99 a piece. You can get the Snake Eyes bundle, which is both Snake Eyes pieces as seen in the picture, $199.99. You can get the Storm Shadow bundle for $179.99, and apparently their sleeves are worth $20 on that one. And then, or the collector's bundle, which is all 4 pieces, just $349.99. If I got two sweatsuits for $350, I would like. I think some like a magical wife would be created just to beat the shit out of me and disappear into the ether again. Like that. That's how bad that is in regards to pricing. Like wow. I guess if you got folks willing to buy it, more power to you. But
I mean, it doesn't even have a logo on it. You know what I mean?
It just has the Arashkage logo on the pants. That's it.
I think the
on the side there. Yeah, I see it. I see it on the side.
It's on the right shoulder too.
Why wouldn't you put it on the sleeve? Jeez.
It's on the right sleeve for Snake Eyes, at least. It is not on the sleeve for Storm Shadow. But
right.
I didn't even bother. A hooded, sleeveless sweatshirt. It is like it's too silly to get in the slideshow for me. I couldn't do it.
You lost me at sleeveless hoodie.
But I guess they're comic continuity correct.
Right. I just no. I look, if this is your thing, this is your thing. I far be it from us to dissuade you from purchasing this if it's what you desire. But will we be purchasing this one, gentlemen? No, probably not.
And if I see you
a couple of months ago, you could get those golf bags that were branded G.I. Joe, and those sold out in like half an hour. So,
well,
they were way more expensive than these.
Well, yeah, but people who play golf have a lot of money.
That's true, but
joggers
aren't spending their money on toys.
No, if you wear these pants into my gym, I'm gonna make fun of your ankles the entire time you're there. Come on now.
I mean, standing in my way too is I don't think they make these in size fat guy. So
true enough.
That would be
Roger.
Cool.
Roger, you're like 7'4", so I don't think they make them in size tall guy either.
Probably not. Those may be shorts though. In that case,
do they have that? Looks like they might have that zipper so you can turn them into shorts.
Could be.
No.
If somebody gifted me these Snake Eyes pants, I would cut off the sock extenders there, and I would go for the full capri pant look. In the spring. Spring is coming. Maybe I get
wear them with sandals. It's a whole look.
White pants never go out of style. So.
It's very, very flowy, very airy.
Yeah.
Very but yeah, not our thing. Not our thing.
You could just wear the pants and go as a quick kick. Do some cosplay there.
Yeah.
It's a good look, but for who, I have no idea.
Mark sent us a text with these during the week and asked, where on earth would you wear a sleeveless hoodie? And of course, Rob, within 30 seconds, had the answer: church.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good answer. I had to give props to that one.
Yeah.
C.S. Sherman notes that Storm Shadows is sleeveless so you can show off your ninja guns. Look, that might work for him, but
yeah.
I mean, most folks who are interested in G.I. Joe, it's more showing off their side man boob. That's not good at all. Sean Russell with another super chat. Thank you for that, sir. Shouldn't Roger get a jacket for 5 appearances like on SNL? No, SNL has a budget.
Ooh, that's good.
Can I get a picture of a jacket?
That I might be able to accommodate you on that, Roger. What might happen? Okay, that's fair. That is a legitimate ask. That does mean that I have to go back through the catalog and figure out all the people who've been on 5 times.
Right.
True.
But
you're setting a precedence right there.
And then we'll go buy them at the Adobe Photoshop and look for them in your mail in 10 years.
Maybe make it like a paper doll, and you can just wear the jacket that way.
Like that, or the Hero and Monster Maker, where you open the thing and put the head in and then rub it down.
Or just find some dude in a tux and superimpose Roger's head on it. Just do it that way. That's the limit of my Photoshop methods, as Mark can attest. I put Mark's head on the front of the Cobra mothership, so that's all I'm good at. That's all I can do.
Pretty solid. Made the mothership look small.
It did. Oh goodness! Next news item. We've made fun of this enough.
Man, not sure.
Renegade Game Studios this week put G.I. Joe Battle for the Arctic Circle Axis and Allies game up for pre-order. So if you like Axis and Allies, and again, as I put on Facebook, Racktime Rob's evenings are going to fill up. But you can play as G.I. Joe or Cobra. There's over 100 miniature pieces included. Includes 3 different game scenarios, and it's got a weather dominator. I'm all in on weather dominators, but we got some pictures here. You can see some of the pieces. There's a snowcat. There's an ice saber. We've got the requisite Sky Striker and Rattler. We've got a snow serpent and a Joe Arctic Soldier. You can see some of the box art there from the back of the box. If you like Axis and Allies and you like G.I. Joe, this is an easy buy.
I think it would be a fun game to play, definitely.
Yeah. Certainly better than a sleeveless hoodie.
Yes.
And $300 less expensive.
I'm surprised they didn't use that as a marketing burst on the front. Better than a sleeveless hoodie.
Michael Gene Fleming says, my dad says repeat guests should get a What's on Joe Mind sticker. Again, I don't know if we've got the budget for that. Shipping's a bear, man. Dustin Jeffrey says you get to be in an Absorb Vince community calendar intro if you've been on enough. That's true. Just ask Phil.
And Rob Correctamundo is saying that's a Cobra Wolf, not an ice saber.
Oh, right.
I like on the front how they have the Cobra Wolf in front of the Joes, though, and the Snowcat in front of Cobra Commander. I mean, not that I'm a stickler.
I mean, the vehicles are just running down the enemy is what that is, Mark.
I don't know about that.
Running them down.
Just saying.
Bart says any guest should get a Mark signed Marauders barbecue figure.
Dude, there's only one of those. One of one.
Repeat guests should get Disneyland tickets via Phil. That's from Cheapest Big Spender.
At least Josh can take care of that.
I mean, Phil has his own show that he can have guests on, and that's why Phil doesn't have guests on his show, because he doesn't want to hand out Disneyland tickets. Those are his tickets. Damn it. Doug Dello says, I thought it was interesting that this game was available on Pulse and the Renegade site. I guess I don't think it hurts anything.
No,
just have an increased availability, but it is a little different. I don't know. I mean, Hasbro's the license holder on G.I. Joe, so I guess they get the right of first refusal to sell what they want, I would think.
And certainly not the first thing that was on more than one website.
Right. Been a lot of stuff turning up on Pulse that hadn't been before, so maybe they've just decided to use it more often. But Josh, Roger, you guys Axis and Allies players?
I'm sorry?
I played it on the computer, but I never played it on a board game.
Oh. I've played Axis and Allies, but it's been decades. So.
Yeah, I mean it's been about that long for me too, because I used to have friends.
Yeah,
My boys
back in the old days before the internet.
Right.
Exactly. When you actually played a game on a board.
You know, my boys would always decide this was a good idea at like 11 p.m. at night, right? And so by 2 a.m., it was we always played the same countries. Pardon me, Colin. And my buddy Chris, who was always Russia, was always the first one asleep. Russia was always asleep at the wheel by like 12:30. We'd have to wake him up. Hey, wake up, Russia!
Right. I used to play as Russia deliberately because I knew I wasn't going to be into it 6 hours later, so I figured I'd take the 2 hour option, play my best for a couple hours, hang out as long as possible, and then just be done.
I think we only finished one game ever. And our buddy Seth, who was always the U.S., ended up with like one troop battalion on a carrier, or not a carrier, but a transport, just trying to run away across the ocean with the horde of Axis powers just taking them over. And in that very limited reenactment scenario, World War II ended in Madagascar. That's where democracy died. So at like 5:30 in the morning in Eugene, Oregon. So there you go.
Right. With a Love Boat rerun on the TV.
We weren't even happy it was over. We were just mad that it happened.
Rob says his set is so old it has a Milton Bradley logo, and I can vouch for that.
My set is so old it has a Milton Bradley autograph.
It's like a badge of honor, isn't it?
Wasn't Milton Bradley an outfielder for the Indians?
That's right.
And the answer to that is yes, he actually was.
Well before Coco Crisp, though. Or maybe
they might have. They were close. Milton might have moved on to Seattle or the Cubs by that point, but I'm pretty sure there was some career overlap there.
Milton Bradley, Coco Crisp, and the center fielder, John Brown. Or something.
Coco Crisp would have been the center fielder.
Probably true.
It's what he did, man. Anyway. Obscure baseball players from the 90s and aughts theater presents.
Yes.
And all of our Cleveland fans, they're upset now because they don't think either of those guys are obscure.
They're upset anyway because they changed the name.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's a crummy name, but you had to change the name, right?
Yeah, I get it.
My only complaint is if you're going to change the name, change it to something good.
Yeah, I think that should be the hill they die on, right?
Right.
But,
the Guardians. It's not that it's not offensive. It's that it's just stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
Find something else.
At least like Washington, they turned it into the Commanders, which kind of makes sense. Washington D.C. I mean,
right, and that's a dopey name, but it's still better than the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
I maintain that the proper name was either after the old National League team, the Cleveland Spiders, or because I'm a 12-year-old boy, the Cleveland Steamers.
Ooh, yeah.
Those are my two choices.
You'd sell some Spider merchandise, that's for sure.
Yeah. Both better than the Guardians.
Right. That's all we need is some more Spider-Man out there.
Phil says I step out for a few minutes and suddenly everybody's talking about me. Yeah. I mean, live chat's going nuts on Phil. It's Phil mania in the live chat, not so much in the regular show. So I don't know what's going on there. But, I mean, I understand why they didn't take the Spiders. It's the 1899 Cleveland Spiders, of course, hold the major league record for futility they had a season where they only won 29 games. So I understand why you're not naming your team after that. But anyways, Rob chiming in with the Cleveland Serranos after the best player from Major League.
I like that we got from Axis and Allies to Cleveland Indians baseball.
Right. Oh my God. Okay. Next news item.
Do.
Beep beep.
Hey, we're getting close to the end of the month. I think we got one more before we technically hit the end of January. But we needed to remind you anyway, join the Navy. Heavy Armor Toys in the Navy backer kit does close at the end of January, and they are still unlocking figures. We've got, of course, the initial figures that were unlocked in the Kickstarter campaign, and since then they've added the CB and the Navy SEAL that you see in the front of that graphic right there. Be sure to head over to the Heavy Armor Toys backer kit, and that is backerkit.inthenavy.com. And check that out. It's 3 3/4 O-ring figures, great army building material, good quality. I mean, you can't beat it. So and the price is good. It's lower than most of the other O-ring offerings that we've seen tossed out there. So check them out. Look to bulk up your armies and navies with some offerings from Heavy Armor Toys. Anyways, I'm not going to go to live chat for those.
Diana Davis for the win.
I'm not giving in. I'm giving in. Will there be seamen in Kentucky? Well, if we're lucky.
Earlier, I had the line in my head when we were ripping on Rob for not doing comic work anymore, and I said maybe we should go to Racktime Diana, and I thought I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, no,
she's a lady and I'm a gentleman, right. and now we're so far beyond that.
Cheapest Big Spender making a donation in the memory of Billy Ripken, only known for being Cal's brother and his one greatest baseball card. Yes. Billy Ripken, he's good on MLB. He's a good commentator, so we'll give him that.
Yeah, he's watched a lot of baseball.
Right. He's been on the Pine for a lot of baseball. He's had great seats to a lot of games. But it's tough being the second brother sometimes.
They once played in 6 consecutive games together as a brother combo. It's pretty exciting.
Hey, that's not bad.
Mm-mm.
Look, anybody, if you get to the major leagues, you were pretty good.
Oh, I'm not ripping on any big leaguer. I'm just saying.
That may be the record for longevity in a double play combination of brothers.
That's fair.
6 games might be it. Anyways, backerkit.inthenavy.com. I don't know. I'll put a link to it down below. I don't think I have it there now, but we'll get it there. Be sure to check them out. You can always follow them on Facebook, and they'll lead you right to it. That's probably just going to Facebook and checking it out there. Probably a better idea than trying to get me to pull it off of the top of my head. Anyways, next news item.
Beep beep. Boop.
Continuing in our rehash of last week, more news as it's made is launching on the 26th. And that is the next book from Total Toy Books. Our good friend Brian Hickey, this time teaming up with classic Action Force photographer David Gillis. 112 pages softcover tome. There'll be photos of his custom figures and Action Force vehicles. Again, launching on 26th on Kickstarter. So be sure to head over there. I mean, we're already sending you over there for one project, so why not two?
Yeah.
Sign up for notifications. And again, this one should launch some point during the day on January 26th. Roger, you in on that one?
I might be on that one. Yeah. Just depends.
Josh, you in on that one?
Yeah, definitely. I tend to try to spread my wealth of spending on books to Kickstarter projects, whatever is in the realm of G.I. Joe minus toys. So I definitely
toys.
Yeah, I mean, I just collect books and comics and stuff. So a lot of the toy lines, it's not my thing. But even the obscure Kickstarter books and things like that, I usually try to get those.
There you go. Mark, you in on this one?
You know what? I'm just to be honest, funds a little tight this month, and I'll show you why a little bit later in the program.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
I know, right?
Let's hope we have time. Next news item.
Do.
And of course, that brings us to the end of the news. Be sure to check out the the G.I. Joe 3D printing podcast. Your first source for news about the upcoming Chonky Tank Kitty and Meowler Tank version 2 toys and collectibles. And I've lost my button.
It's all right.
You sure that's all you lost?
There's so many community calendar buttons. There's just so many. Okay. And that's the news. Before we roll into tonight's main event, let's stop for a quick word from our wonderful sponsors at Kokomo Toys. Stay with us.
We buy, sell, and trade vintage and modern toys. G.I. Joe, Star Wars, Transformers, Marvel, DC, and more. Located in beautiful downtown Kokomo, Indiana, we are open every Wednesday through Saturday from 12 to 5. It's a theme park of nostalgia. Join the thousands of people who have traveled from all over the Midwest for over a decade to buy and sell with us. Get your geek on.
You guys, of course, can't see it when we're in commercial, but as soon as I hit the button, I see Roger get up and walk away. I'm like, what is it with the guests today that they can't stay seated?
I'm still here, man.
You came back a lot sooner than I expected. I thought we were gonna have to play Where's Roger for a minute, but
No, for some reason it's just really hot in my room tonight, so I opened the window.
All right then. All right. Let your giant Florida mosquitoes in.
They're a little farther south than I am. So.
Sure, now you got the windows open, they're coming right to you.
Mhm.
They're too big to get through the screen.
Remember that all proceeds collected tonight in Super Chat will be donated to the Veterans Memorial Beautification Project. You can visit their campaign on GoFundMe directly, which is probably a better way to spend your money. Not that we won't take it and donate it on your behalf. Remember, that is helping out the Howard County Memorial Corporation in Kokomo, Indiana, to help beautify the war memorials in and around the Kokomo area. And so your project tonight, gentlemen.
That is it.
It's the history of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, number 21, an after-action report book. So I guess the number one question is, this is a book that we've seen celebrated any number of times over the last, say, 10, 15 years. Why'd you pick this one?
Well, why would you pick any other one when it comes to G.I. Joe?
Right. Well, again, that's why I want you to say it, damn it.
So
it's one thing for me to tell you why you did it. It's something else for you to tell me.
Well,
there's basically three reasons. The first is it's actually the 40th anniversary of the issue being released. It was originally released in December of 1983, but the cover date is March of 84. So it's 40 years. The second thing is that obviously, as Roger just said, it's pretty much the single most important G.I. Joe comic book. And it's also generally ranked as one of the 100 most best popular, influential comic books in the history of all comic books. It's usually ranked up in a lot of these, rankings. And then the third thing is that there's been so much printed about it, but it's all scattered all over the place. So we're collecting it all together, like a lot of different interviews from videos and, talking about the different artists and biographies of them, because everybody's, always knows about Hama, but nobody really knows talks about the other artists that were in that are in the book that made it. And then of course there's like number 21B, the Hasbro book, and other Action Force and Devil's Due had other supplemental stories, and there's a whole lot out there about it. But it's all over the place. So those are the three big reasons that we decided to put this book together. And, most of our books are like these volumes and series of volumes. This is one single after-action report book about one single issue. That's the elevator pitch.
All right, good deal. So on the book, on the campaign page, rather, if you go to Kickstarter, make your pledge. The book is $35. There are some extras that you can purchase that cost a little bit more, and I'll let everybody go over to the Kickstarter page and check those out for themselves, or we can talk about them later. But is this going to be a collection of what's already out there? Have you conducted new interviews yourself? I understand some of the creative team is no longer with us, so you're obviously, you're not talking to everybody who's involved with the book. But
yeah. We've got what. We interviewed Larry Hama for all three of the first three books, and there was a lot of material that we didn't publish. So we've already interviewed him essentially for it. We're just going to assemble that from what's left over. We're trying to get Jim Shooter, and we're trying to get Steve Lealoa. So far, they have not responded to us, but we have reached out to them to see if they want to be involved. But that's it for the interviews that we're shooting for. We might try to get a few more.
Yeah, the Klaus Janson, our cover artist, and Ed Hannigan are a little harder to get too. But that's about it that's alive for the book. You know what I mean? Like the colorist is dead. Denny O'Neil, the editor, is dead. Even Jeremy Dale, who did the artist for 21B, dead. Yeah. So, 40 years later, you can get this kind of stuff out there about these guys, because so many of the creators from the 80s are definitely aging, into that time of life where you have to go see G.I. Joe in heaven, kind of thing, stuff like that. But, the whole point of number 21 really is that it was such a landmark issue at the time it came out, but then it has grown over time as our generation has grown up. Like we all read it as like 10-year-olds and we're like, this thing is like, I don't even know. Like it, like, you know, I remember being confused why there was no words. And I didn't even realize until I was working on writing this book that I didn't actually learn Storm Shadow's name from the book. I learned it from buying the toy. Like that's pretty amazing to think about that, right? I mean, like they introduced probably maybe the third or fourth most popular character and they don't even put his name in the book. So the whole silent aspect of it was such a landmark thing. And, you know, it has really grown in terms of the legendary aspect of the book. I mean, it's super valuable. It's, you know, I mean, it's like what everybody wants. Everybody's hunting for it. And so we thought with the 40th anniversary and, you know, all of our knowledge, and we do have, you know, a fair amount of stuff in our previous volumes that we've already written about that we're bringing into this one. But again, that was like scattered over 2 or 3 volumes, you know, of the comic guidebook. So we put it all together, and then, you know, we've done extensive biographies for all the creators, doing, you know, basically doing a lot of research on, like, you know, the colorist George Ruosos. Like, I mean, this was in the 80s, right? And he's the colorist for Marvel. So do you want to know what one of his first books that he did? Right? Does anybody know? No.
And no.
It's Batman 3.
Oh, wow.
In the 1941, I think it was. And then he was like the colorist for DC for a while. And then he was the colorist for Marvel. So he was like the colorist for like Avengers 4 when Captain America returned, like a whole lot of like the original X-Men stuff. I mean, like he's just the colorist for like the most insane resume. And of course, then he did 21, and of course, nobody's ever really talks about it. And as I was doing research, I was just like, oh my God, like this guy's done so many, you know, covers and interior artwork and stuff. So we really tried to highlight them. And this is another thing that I discovered. So obviously, Larry Hama is in the Hall of Fame, the Eisner Hall of Fame. So he doesn't have an Eisner himself, but he's in the Hall of Fame. But like the people that worked on 21, the first one, there's 5 Eisner awards that they all won after making it. And then of course, you know, like Klaus Janson and Denny O'Neil and who's the other one? There's 3 of them. Ed Hannigan were on like DC books, like, you know, Dark Knight Returns, you know, Dark Knight 3. I mean, some like massive, most popular comic books ever. And these artists that were just did 21, they weren't really mainstay artists for G.I. Joe. So it's like ridiculous how much amazing talent put that book together. And that's one of the things that we're really trying to like emphasize and to share to the community, because, you know, I don't ever, you know, I mean, I'm in the Joe comic community forever, and nobody talks about these artists. So that's something that very much new that we wanted to bring to the community. And of course, the second printing that as me and Roger started in 2020, which actually helped start the whole After Action Report book stuff and everything. We put that together, and so we've, you know, over the 4 years now, we've really come to learn about the number 21 second printing, a whole lot of information. We put articles in our other books, and then, you know, we kind of solved that mystery. So that's in there. And, you know, so that's all the kind of stuff that we're really putting in there. And then, you know, articles about Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, which, you know, maybe the diehards know and everything, but still it's a, you know, but really.
So, before you go too far, but elaborate a little bit more on that for folks who maybe don't have your books from previously about the extra, the second and third and printings of issue 21 and so on and so forth. What was the big controversy there?
Roger?
Number 1, of course, is the first printing. You can get it new standard direct market. In the bagged 3-packs, you could get a third printing, but the second printing just doesn't seem to exist. And that was where the big mystery was. Why is there a third printing if there's no second printing? And we were trying to track that down, figuring out where it might be, why it does or doesn't exist. And I think in volume 3 of our book, the one that's still waiting to be released, I think we pretty well get an answer to that question.
All right. I won't press you on it because I want people to buy the book and find out.
Absolutely.
But just so we had some framework for what that controversy was. I don't want to. It was a little vague. So flesh that out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, the best way to sum it up is that in 2020, like nobody really knew the answer, and then in the last 4 years of people submitting things to us and finding us and us hunting and everything like that, we've kind of solved it to the mystery. But there's no definitive answer. It's just kind of like a lot of theories in our world. You know what I mean? You can kind of prove it, but you don't really have the like holy grail smoking gun moment. But we're pretty close. I think we have it solved, and we put that in the book. It's also involuntary, but it's in this one too. Yeah. But like it ends up being about 10 pages because it's been such a big deal dealing with this mystery of the number 21 second printing. I mean, it's a big deal in our community because it's pretty much maybe potentially the most expensive comic book, G.I. Joe comic book out there. Maybe.
Yeah.
Do you have one?
Short of actually tracking down the guy that ran it through the printer, I don't think we'll ever get a definitive answer. But I think we're pretty close on the right answer.
So you've got some well-tested theories, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. As best it can be, because they didn't care about that stuff in the 80s. They just printed it and put it out there. But now we care. And the collecting community as a whole have started to care about things like direct market, newsstand, second printings, Canadian price, and people are really hunting for those now. Whereas even 5 years ago, nobody really cared too much. But that's another thing that really we're trying to put into the book to help people see that here's the process of how we found this information, because we can't just say this like this is it, but we can show the process of because like in 2020, I don't know if you guys remember the shutdown, like we put it up on Justin Bell's General Joe's I think Reborn now. It was the hunt for it. We asked everybody to go look in their long boxes to see if we could find one, and we ended up finding 2. You know what I mean? That and then of course as time has gone on, we've now found them more because people knew what to look for and they went and dug in. So and that the funny thing is that Roger and I had known each other for a very long time, and we decided to put that together, and it literally got us to where we are right now as After Action Report co-authors, because then he called me with his famous line that I try to make famous is, "Hey Josh, you want to do a project? It'll take a year." That's what he called me. I was like, "Yeah, what is it? Let's make a comic guide." Okay. But the working on the 21, it was just an online thing at first, and then that got us to where we're at now. So. Yeah. It's a big part of AAR history as well as just comic book history in general. And, I just want to emphasize again that this issue for G.I. Joe, the comic world community of the whole world looks at the books, it's generally talked about as one of the best books ever. I mean, think about that. Superman came out in like 1939, and this book came out in 1984. And, things like, Dark Knight Rises or, the Dark Knight itself, Frank Miller and all that stuff, like they tend to be like what is talked about, but number 21 comes up all the time. Like when I was doing research, I found it in at least 4 or 5 top 100 all-time lists.
Right. And so you mentioned before that these are not the normal hands in most cases for G.I. Joe's creative team, right? So how did we wind up with kind of this lightning in a bottle situation with these all-time talents, with not just Larry Hama, but Denny O'Neil and Klaus Jensen and Steve Lealoa and how did everybody come together on this one book? How did that happen?
I think the short answer is networking. They had a problem. They had to solve it quick. Larry knew the guys that needed to do it quick and fast and good. And he called them up and said, "Hey, let's do a book. We got a week." I think that's ultimately all it is he knew which talented people would be best suited for doing it quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Lealoa, he did number 26, and that's it. Like Denny O'Neil was an editor for a long time, but he was a writer himself in a lot of DC stuff. And then, of course, Jim Shooter was in charge of the whole show. And then George was already the colorist on the book already. And then he lasted for 30, 40 issues or something like that, a long time actually. So they just had and again, I think part of it was the fact like what Larry knew how to be an editor and was like, okay, I can plug this guy in here, I can do this guy, we get it done. And Jim and Denny were like, all right, great, let's do it, So it's just like, one of many, oftentimes some of these most creative things in the art world in general aren't even planned. I mean, like how many times in music has like the last song on the album been like the most popular? They didn't even care about. They're like, let's just throw it on there and like, get an album out or something. And it's like, it becomes the most popular song, it's just, and so I really feel like, for G.I. Joe, number 21 came out at that 2-year mark. And Hama has talked a lot about how, toy property comic books never lasted. You know what I mean? Of course, we're at 302 now, and he's in the Hall of Fame because of it. But like in 1984, when this book came out, or December 83, but it was like that point of time when a comic licensed book would die, right? But instead, we get one of the greatest comic books ever in the history, and guess what it does? It creates the rivalry between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. We all know this. I mean, everybody here is a diehard fan and knows this. But like, to think about that, right? I mean, like that's where the rivalry, and still to this day, they make movies, Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. I mean, it's still the biggest driving factor. And, just because they had matching tattoos, like, he didn't even know what he was going to do with that. That's a couple other things too that are in the book. I did a whole big deep dive on the Arashikage and the I Ching, and like, just writing about the I Ching and like, the fact that it's like, 3,000-4,000 years old stuff. I mean, it's like literally filling the book with a bunch of history from real life history, and the connections and all the stuff and all the characters for Arashikage. So that's really like, the emphasis of the book is like how important this book is to the comic community, to G.I. Joe itself, as, like creating this rivalry that saved G.I. Joe, maybe. You know what I mean? I mean, without Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow rivalry, I mean, you certainly would have a lot less figures out there.
Right. It certainly was a shot in the arm from a creative standpoint. Look, Storm Shadow was introduced in 21 there in 84. He was switched over to the good guys side 87, 88. And yet every time G.I. Joe gets a reimagining, Storm Shadow's a Cobra again. And I think that has a lot to do with the impact of G.I. Joe 21 and that introduction, that first hit that we got with him, in that he was just this perfect Cobra villain right out of the gate. And we want to keep going, even though he's a very well-rounded character. He's a very well-done character. Shoot, at Devil's Due, he even had his own book for a while. So it's not that Storm Shadow as a good guy, as a Joe on the side of the Angels, doesn't have some merit too. But I mean, I think like that always gets washed away because of the impact of this book.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote in my introduction to the book that I think it may have actually saved G.I. Joe, Real American Hero. I mean, again, it's at the 2-year mark, and all of a sudden there's this massive rivalry of two super cool characters that all of us 10-year-olds were like, hell yeah, this is awesome. Ninjas? Are you kidding me? They also introduces ninjas. You know what I mean? You get ninjas and you get the whole mythology. And, of course, in the middle 80s, ninjas were a big deal. So that's another aspect that this book introduced. And again, it's all why we're writing this one to point out to everybody who, I mean, most Joe fans who are in the community, we all know a lot of this. But it's interesting to put it together all in one and how important all these different elements that happen in one book with no words.
Put it all in context.
Yeah.
Mark, you've been quiet over there. You have any questions?
I mean, I'm curious about the second printing because I think I got mine off the newsstand, and that's the only one I have is the original one that I beat Tim Roberts out for at the Long's Drugs in Bend, Oregon. And
take that, Tim Roberts.
Right, and proudly got Larry's homicide on it a couple years later. But I think it's a really good point that even though the toy was selling and the comic was selling too, this really was a taking off point for certainly for the comic, but also for the brand. And I love that it's respected outside of the Joe community, right? Yeah. That when you look at top 100 comics of all time, the odds of a G.I. Joe comic making it on that list pretty damn slim. But
it seems absurd.
Yeah, like sheer lunacy. But
I mean, most of the top 10 lists, it's all Marvel or DC, and that's it. And maybe an Image, or maybe like a Spawn kind of thing, or a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. But other than that,
well, you see a lot of independents too. Some Strangers in Paradise and Love and Rockets and stuff like that too.
Yeah. At the time, though, I remember, and it seems like such an obvious thing now, but at the time, to have the hero, the A+ soul of the team, be the Man in Black, and to have the bad guy, the worst of the worst as far as we knew, be the head-to-toe satin white guy, right? That was from an outfit perspective. That was a real jump. I mean, the basic concept of hero and villain is white hat and black hat, right? And so the fact that they put that on its head was absolutely something. And one of the things I liked about it that I think is a little bit lost because it's a Snake Eyes and a Storm Shadow story, but it's really a Scarlet story too, right? And that gets a little bit washed over. I think she is captured and Snake Eyes is coming together, but she's no damsel in distress.
No, she is not.
pretty much whips ass getting out as Snake Eyes whips ass coming in. Oh, and then they meet. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Right, and she technically saves Snake Eyes. I mean, she lands and flies away with him. Like, how the hell else was he gonna get out?
Yeah, and right before it makes the sacrifice play, right? Like she's willing to sacrifice herself for him, and that's cool. And I think it might be cooler because there's no language, right? Because there's no dialogue. Everything you need to understand about those three really seminal characters is all right there in that book. And so I think that's why, and also because it was a new concept, but the fact that it was just perfectly on tone for three critical characters. And even Destro at the beginning, looking at the Baroness figure, right?
Yep.
And there's depth there without even having to explain it. Just in the art, and that's pretty incredible.
Right. It's very much a deepening of the two most important relationships in the entire series.
Yeah,
and that's Snake Eyes and Scarlet and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. Like that's it. If you want to boil G.I. Joe down to two story elements, those are the two. And this is the single issue where both of those really take off.
Yep.
So no questioning the impact. It's just, you said it's funny that it's G.I. Joe book, and it's kind of absurd to think of now, but I mean, think of how extra absurd it was that this book got this much critical acclaim in 1984.
Yeah.
Right.
You Josh, you made note that most licensed books are gone by issue 21. I would dare say that most licensed book are gone by 12.
Yeah.
Like if you got a full year out of a licensed book, more power to you, but very few got past number 12, and fewer still got to 21. So let alone
he's at 302 or 303. Right. 303 just came out. 303. I mean, that's like on level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let alone hitting a new peak in 21, right?
Yeah.
So it really does say something for the strength of the work being put in on the book.
Yeah.
Now you guys,
as far as that goes, you're talking Star Wars, Micronauts, and Transformers. That's about it.
Right.
All the rest
and Transformers hadn't been there yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so it was really just Star Wars and Micronauts to that point.
And Micronauts, Rom. What about Rom?
Yeah, Rom too. Yeah, that's right.
And Micronauts the comic had nothing to do with Micronauts the toy.
It's very little.
So I would even question that being on the list. But Mark is right. Rom includes, Rom is Rom. So clearly, the book is all about the toy. It's just that was the only toy.
Yeah.
But the toy Rom has almost no backstory. It has like a paragraph.
Right.
Yeah,
that's it. And so they just rolled with that and expanded and got, what did Rom hit? Like 100 issues?
75.
75. There you go. One of them with the X-Men.
Yep.
Right. And they created enough story around Rom that when they didn't have the license to publish Rom books, like his supporting cast would show up in other books.
Right.
Yeah. So they did a good job there. So we can't take away from the impact of Rom on the comic market in the 80s either. It was no G.I. Joe. It was not the best seller for Marvel Comics, but it did a good job.
I think Rom the character was galvanized by meeting Cyclops in issue 17 and learning what real leadership looks like.
Maybe. I think that was the episode where he learned how to complain.
Oh, Rom, the whiny space knight. Oh, my disruptor's out of juice again.
Oh.
They bonded over their red visors.
That was it.
Right. So you guys have obviously put in a ton of work researching the G.I. Joe comics over the last several years. Yes. When you were putting this one together, what is one thing that you learned that you didn't know before? And Roger, we'll start with you.
No, I was hoping Josh should answer first.
Okay, well, Josh, we'll start with you then.
I already talked about it, and it's George Ruassos. I think that's how you say his name. I mean, I just couldn't believe the amount of comics that he had made. In comics that were ranked higher than G.I. Joe number 21 in the top 100. And I was like, no wonder this book is awesome. That was my biggest learn.
Hey, man, the comics business is full of lifers because there's no retirement to it. So you have to keep working to get the bills paid.
Yeah. One of Ruassos's last comics was those X-Men Executioner ones with like the holofoil covers in the 90s. Like, I think he did that like about just 6 months before he died. I'm like, he started in the 40s with Batman, and he's doing, X-Men holofoil, those colorings of that whole 90s design. I'm like, that's ridiculous to think about that. So I was just like, wow. So that's my biggest one. I mean, and also too, as I researched Denny O'Neil, I hadn't quite realized that he had such a writing career. I'd known him and everything, but like he had a big writing career with Green Arrow and everything like that. So I learned a lot about some of the key important issues that these other guys had done that, again, we don't talk about that for G.I. Joe. We just talk about Hammond 21, maybe Leia Low and his artwork, and occasionally you get Thomas Jansen with the cover, but Yeah,
Denny O'Neil is a guy who, if there is a comic book Hall of Fame, he's in it 3 or 4 different times.
Yeah,
I mean, he just that's a guy who we talk about, our childhood in comic books. Man, Denny O'Neil's fingerprints are all over it, not just for G.I. Joe, but for Batman, like you said, for Green Arrow, Green Lantern. That run in the 70s. I mean,
he created John Stewart. That was something I learned too. I was like, holy shit. I was like, damn.
Landscape changing work out of Denny O'Neil. And he's the editor on this thing. He, creatively speaking, he's just the guy who went in and kind of, if anything, just kind of tweaked details and gave guidance, right? Like he's not even the creator here. Yeah. Well, I don't want to demean it, but again, but that's the kind of guy who's giving overall direction to this story is that guy, that freaking legend. So there's a lot of confluence just coming together with issue 21, and it's good that you guys are drawing attention to that, because it's not just a great issue of a great comic. It's really a touchstone and a landmark event. And again, they didn't plan it that way, but it funny thing happens when you get a ton of talent in the room at the same time.
Another thing too is so obviously Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief, and he's talked about how he just kind of let Larry do his thing for the books, right? But on his website, jimshooter.com, he has all kinds of amazing Marvel comic stories. I mean, he has stories before and after his career at Marvel, but he just talks about all kinds of stuff, and he mentions Larry 10, 15 times and different things. And of course, he spends a whole one blog post talking just about the origin of G.I. Joe, which starts within the toilets with Hasbro and Marvel heads, and all that. And so we were copying and pasting from his blog because his stories are so awesome about some of the other people and things like that. You know what I mean? So we're putting a fair amount of that in the book. Again, because he was a big part of Marvel at the same time too. Right. I mean, with Secret Wars and everything like that. I mean, just turning the company around, and he was integral in getting G.I. Joe started as a comic book. So we put his article in there of how G.I. Joe starts, which is pretty common knowledge. But it's the guy who helps get the comic book started 2 years before is still there working as the main guy in charge. So
Jim Shooter's a real interesting guy and a real polarizing guy in comic book history. So I hope you guys get the chance to talk to him, because
we're trying.
Yeah, just got to get him to do
you're gonna love him, or you're going to hate him, but you're going to be fascinated by him because that's just, I mean, the dude was hired to write Legion of Superheroes at 13 years old. Okay. That's kind of the definition of a comic book lifer, isn't it?
Yeah.
13. And he was good enough to be hired to write it. Granted, if you've read those Legion of Superheroes from the time, it's Silver Age stuff. It's a little goofy, but hey, he's got the imagination to create a world and a universe from 1,000 years from now and make it believable in the construct that they had already assembled for him. So he's pretty good. So as a creator, that guy's vision is something special. And again, I hope you get the chance to talk to him directly.
Yeah.
So at this point, let's move away from the book itself. Let's talk about your campaign. Let's talk about the Kickstarter side of things.
So it just went active this morning. Let me hit refresh on my computer here.
Yeah.
We are
23 backers.
23 backers, $1,600. Maybe 12 hours online. So you guys will help us get a good jump start. Obviously you just go to Kickstarter and search for G.I. Joe number 21. It's our sixth Kickstarter now, sixth Kickstarter. And so in terms of the rewards, you can buy one book, you can buy a book that's autographed, you can buy a book with two. You can also buy a combo deal if you haven't gotten our volume 1, 2, and 3 comic books. You can get that with number 21, or you can get the Command Files book with number 21. And then Roger, do you want to talk about the coolest reward?
The fan love page.
Yes.
You can for an extra $10, you can write a 200-word essay on why you love the issue, how it impacted your collecting, how you enjoyed it when you were a kid, whatever aspect you want to take to it. You can be in the book for an extra $10.
So right now we're allowing 12. And we've already sold, I think, 6.
Is it
5 or 6? So, if you want to get that, you should get in there. And if it sells out real quick, we might add 2 extra pages to the book, another 12. But, that's just, that would be like a stretch goal or something. I don't know there. Mm-hmm. But, we wanted to show how much it really is impacted, as we've talked about here, in people's lives. I mean, like Robert Atkins has talked about how, he saw that book and he wanted to be in comic books. You know what I mean? Like a lot of artists were like, I read that book as a kid and I want to be in comic books, and they're still making comic books today because of that. And that's another aspect of a book that why it should be considered a GOAT, greatest of all time. You know what I mean? If people read it and got into the comic book industry because, well, they didn't read it, but looked at it, and like that's certainly a whole another aspect of like how influential is a book when somebody reads it to like the rest of their life. Yeah. So,
right. And so it launched this morning, a very modest goal, only $8,000 gets this funded.
Yeah.
So you're more about you're trying to pre-sell copies more than trying to fund crazy pie in the sky stretch goals and things like that. You're just trying to get this book done, just so everybody out there understands the nature of the campaign and what you're trying to do with it. Like you.
So it's compared to some of our other campaigns where the book was not even like maybe half done. This book's like 85% done. I shared with you guys so you can look at it. But it's like it's going to be 80 pages and like 72 of them are done. We're waiting for interviews and kind of some other page like this fan love stuff, to make it 80. And if we have to extend it to 84, we might. But that's it. I mean, but it's packed just like all of our other books. I mean, like every kind of that's our, I don't know if you want a tradition or whatever it's called. Yes, exactly. It's to pack the book full of information. So that's the same thing with this one.
Yeah.
Right. And so
just to reiterate the interviews, if anybody has any contact with any of those creators and can get them in contact with us, we would interview any of them. We're not going to turn any of them away.
Yeah. And there's only 3 really or 4 that are alive to interview. It's Shooter, Leia Loa, Klaus Janson, and Ed Hannigan.
Yeah.
Obviously Mary's still alive, but like I said, we don't need to interview him for the book.
Yeah.
You already have, yeah.
Yes, we already have.
We've covered
Racktime Rob has a Batman altar in the back of the apartment that I believe we can conduct a seance to talk to Denny O'Neil.
Okay.
I believe we can pull that off.
One of the things that I've tried to do is try to find like some kind of quote from Denny O'Neil or George regarding talking about 21. And of course, they had so many other things in their life, and it was just one issue that there's like nothing out there. There's like, I can't Google enough scenarios in the wording to get to find anything about it because like there's nothing out there about it. They don't talk about it because it wasn't that big of an issue in their life compared to many of the other ones.
Right. Or they've talked so much about the other thousands of books that they've done that it's just lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
Jeff Butler wants to make sure to note that you have an 80-page giant.
Yes, we do.
So there you go. Just like the traditional books.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. Doug Dello is in. Matt Rubin wants to know, will your Kickstarter go over any of the other extra content that was created for number 21? I just found out there have been hang on. I just found out there have been added panels. Any chance of covering any of that?
So 100% answer is yes. So we have full pages of the Action Force. They have a prelude and a epilogue that is unique to UK books. There's the Devil's Due story that happened in the trade paperback, the Snake Eyes Declassified trade paperback, and of course 21B. And then, of course, in some of the other trade paperbacks, they've kind of put not new stories, but like, artwork and things like that. So we're definitely highlighting a lot of that. But those other stories, absolutely doing full summaries, probably putting some, I don't know how much space we'll have for actual comic panels, but we're definitely I did our full summaries for all those extra ones. 100% in there.
Yep. Phil Donnelly says he's backed your other books. I would ask for receipts. So he'll be backing this one.
Excellent. Thanks,
Phil. Appreciate that.
And I just want to point out that I know Phil was on your show last week, and Phil just turned into us. This is for another book of the internationalist. He turned in the coolest summary of these Japanese. They're called bomb books, and he got his whole thing. Him and Patrick Stewart. So he's contributing to other books. So thank you, Phil, and thank you for your support. And man, it's a cool thing because nobody knows about these Japanese comic books, and that's other books. So beyond actually back here.
I am pleased because it means I continue to hang out with people in this hobby that are cooler than myself.
Yeah, Phil is definitely in that category.
Mark nods in agreement. Yes.
Yes.
I went over to Phil's house like last month or something, and I was trying to steal everything.
Right.
Michael G. Fleming says that work is early in the morning, but it funds him buying books about G.I. Joe. So night. We thank you, Michael. Appreciate you tuning in and funding the book.
Excellent.
Thank you. Yes. I saw that he was there. So,
if you're trying to get away with some old but authentic yojo.com swag, steal from Phil. Don't steal from Terry. Terry's home is well defended.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Terry will shoot you dead. No warning shots.
No, there's a slight delay while he figures out which firearm he wants to shoot.
I'm just going to guess whatever he's got mounted to the hardware that day.
Probably true.
I don't think he's particular.
He probably pre-plans it for the day.
But
it's like picking out socks.
Gents, do you have any last words for anybody on the fence? What's going to tip them over?
Me or Rod?
I don't care.
Yeah, go for
it. The thing is if you know about number 21, right? It's all pieces from all over the internet. And this is one book about one issue, right? We're not going to do sequels or anything like that. And it's just about the most important G.I. Joe comic book and one of the most important comic books in all of comic history.
There you go. So there it is for you. One shot. Not the first of a series. This is it.
Yep.
It's going to have all the information you need right here.
Yep.
Brian King asks, real quick, will there be any mention of number 85 in the book, too?
Yes, because it's part of the silent issue stuff, even though it has sound effects. We do kind of highlight some of the others, like Yearbook 3, is it 214 and 275, as well as other silent issues like the Batman, I think it's 433, and when Damian Wayne dies, the Batman Robin book, and then Marvel did a whole series in like 2002 called Enough Said, which was like every book in 1 or 2 months was all silent. So we highlight a lot of it, how the other silent books that have come out after that. But yeah, we definitely, we're not doing like a whole page on it, but we definitely mention it and talk about it.
Yeah.
The 85.
It's there, but not in depth.
Yeah, not in depth. I mean, if you guys really think we should do it, we can add a few more pages regarding his. Yeah, exactly. But it's definitely mentioned and it's not forgotten.
Excellent. So we'll close it off there as in regards to that. Remember, folks, if you're checking us out tonight, super chat, get your question answered. And the funds go to, let me find my window here. The Veterans Memorial Beautification Project on GoFundMe. That is by the Howard County, Indiana Memorial Corporation, and that is to fund the sprucing up of veterans memorials in and around our good friends at Kokomo Toys in Kokomo, Indiana. So we'll cut off that part of the interview here then. And let folks mull that one over. But in the meantime, we got one right there, right away. See, right there. You plug the super chat and look what happens. Cheapest Big Spender asks, after all you two researched about number 21, do you see anything that could have been different to make it better than it is?
No.
Well, Hama has done two things to it in the following reprints. First was changing some of the colors of the castle, I believe, and then also the cover. I believe is the 30th anniversary that they did 10 years ago. He redrew the cover because he wanted it a little bit more dynamic, and so then the
40th anniversary.
40th, the 40th one. They redid his cover because Hama always did like sketch covers for his books,
right?
So and he so he did that with the 40th anniversary cover. So the colors of he really didn't like the colors of the castle for some reason, like the backgrounds of the castle and things like that. So
it was mostly the sunsets and stuff through the windows. So
yeah,
where it was.
Yeah. So they changed that in the following versions that were in the trade paperbacks or the hardbound books or whatever, the different versions of it. I mean, there's like one called Complete Silence, which is a comic that has both 21, 21B, and then, you know, like it appears in several trade paperbacks, hardbacks, you know, 30th anniversary, and it's in probably like 10 or 12 international books. You know, so those are all in there too, because most of those are in my collection. So I was able to put those in there and do research on that. And then we actually are doing a homage page, you know, because there's been so many covers that are like, you know, making fun of it, or, you know, the Deadpool one, you know, it's another silent issue actually. So that all is in the book too. So we're actually, you know, the tradition of the guidebooks. So those are in the guidebook page, but everything else in our book is really more prose and everything like that. Whereas, you know, most of our other books that we've done are like just all about the comic guide. You know what I mean? Like check off the box and look at them there. But this one has a lot more stories and articles and everything like that. So that's, I mean, there is the checklist at the back and then about 5 pages of the guide. But, you know, compared to what we've done with the other books where it's like 75% guide and 25% interviews, it's like the opposite now. Maybe like.
Remember, when we're done here tonight, head over to Kickstarter.com. You can search for After Action Report or search for G.I. Joe number 21. Both of those searches will work for you, bring you right to this campaign. We do have a link down in the comments below. I forgot it at first, but if you refresh, it'll be there for you the second time if you just want to be lazy and go right to it. So that is there for you. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on and talking about this with us.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, you know what? I mean, we're doing this for the community, and, you know, this is like one of these things that, you know, as a Joe fan, we're all Joe fans. We all love this issue, and, you know, it deserves this kind of treatment, you know, in terms of like the historical aspect of it and everything like that, you know, and, you know, put a lot of research into it. So that's, we're making it for everybody out there. And of course, hopefully people beyond the hardcore G.I. Joe community that typically supports all of these. Thank you guys, by the way, all of you. And hopefully it'll expand past that. You know, get some more fans like, oh my God, this book's amazing.
So before we let you go, I think we got some time, Mark. I think we got some time to do a little what we got in.
Ooh, I like it.
So, gents, you guys are guests. You're not here that often. Has there been anything cool that's come into your collection lately you'd like to share with folks at home?
Oh, I'm gonna get up and run. Hold on.
Okay.
The volume 3 proof.
All right. Hey, that counts.
Nice.
Roger. That counts. Why don't you talk about the volume 3 proof that you have in your hands?
It's pretty close to done. We're still making some adjustments with the publisher and the printer. The printer, this one's actually the good proof, but the printer basically made everything 5% too big, so it was just at the edge of the page, and it looked. The biggest problem was down here in the center. There was no center. It just went all the way to the middle.
Okay. Yeah, it's no good.
So, yeah, that had to be corrected. So that's where we're at now, and that should be in the.
And you can see them there on the screen. This is After Action Report Comic Guide, volumes 1 through 3. If you've missed out on these previous efforts, you can there is actually a pledge level on the current Kickstarter where you can order all 3 of these books, plus the upcoming book on number 21 as well. So if you missed out, here's your chance to catch up.
Get it all in one package deal. Save on shipping.
And of course, also from you guys, there's command files on the way too. That's from Greg Augustin, who's in the chat tonight, and Josh mostly. So really good stuff there. You guys are doing great work. I really appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
And that one is
Josh, what'd you get in, man? Sorry, Roger.
Oh, that's okay.
Now, I'm not usually a toy guy, but I couldn't pass it up. So I got the crossover.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool one.
You know, and I was like, oh my God, I can't. And so then what I decided to do, because I'm not much of a toy guy, I decided to take it out of the packages in stages, so it's not near mint. But I still haven't taken them off the box.
There you go.
You're easing into it.
Someday I'll take them off and try to transform. But I was like, I saw this one when they released it, and I was like, holy shit, I want that.
Right.
He's opening it like an advent calendar.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I got the Zartan and the Xenias sitting over there. I grabbed this one. So that just came like 2 weeks ago, 3. I don't know, whenever it came, last month maybe. Right. And but I was like, when I had forgotten that I had bought it because it was like a year ago or whatever, and it showed up. Yeah. Holy shit, this is awesome! I was like, I better buy more of these. I love the crossover stuff, man. I tell you. I mean, obviously, Skybound stuff is going that way with everything. And, they're fully 100% into the whole crossovers. And, it's been around since the 80s, so it's nothing new. But, now they're literally building those toys finally. I mean,
it's good to savor the experience, Josh. Yes. You don't buy a whole lot of the toys. It's good to just pace yourself and do it slowly. It's good to just bring it along we don't want to overwhelm you all at once, man.
Yes, exactly. I'm
like a teddy bear.
I'm pretty sure the next toy I buy is the Hiss tank with Baroness that transforms into Megatron.
Yeah. I think you're way out of date, man.
I know.
No, he's crazy like a fox. You can find that half price.
Yeah.
You'll find it at Ollie's in a few weeks.
That's right.
Yeah. And then I guess there's the Striker with Stalker. Was that Bumblebee or something?
Bumblebee, yeah.
I don't think there's any other ones that are true. That's the 3.
No, those are the 3. Yep.
Yeah, there were some old school references, but there was no. Those were the first.
But the actual Transformer that turns into a G.I. Joe toy.
Yeah, there was a blue Rattler that turned into Viper as a character, but
that was a great toy. I don't know who came up with that, but he deserves a raise.
Yeah, it was a good idea.
Or his friggin' job back.
Yeah.
Speaking of that guy, Mark Webber, what'd you get in?
I mean, there was a lot this week because we did the pile of loot thing from Big Bad Toy Store.
Yeah, we haven't done this segment for like 3 weeks now. 4 weeks now. So
even like there's Christmas stuff, but there's you can see it behind me a little bit on the shelf. Mutt's back there. That Soundwave is back there. Wolf Spider came in. That's all good. But the spotlight is some of these guys, right? A little Fourth Alpha coming through, looking real good. So just rapid fire, right? That's the Hellguard guy. That's the bad guy, Dr. Diablo. He's looking pretty good. And then this is what? Valkyrie, Redhead for extra power, right? You got like that. And then Nomad.
He's all gingered up.
Right? Redhead for more power. We know what that's all about. And then Cairn. It's a cool name. The eye patch and the red beret, these really came out well. So I was wanted to make sure they got top billing solo pub for Strike Force Alpha.
He's not a redhead, but he wears the red beret so he can pretend.
Yeah, he wants to fit in with the boys. So if you were on the fence, big endorsement. Go get yourself some Strike Force Alpha. They're really slick.
All right, I'll keep mine to the important stuff. No, that's anybody wants to ask me about anyway. But yeah, that number is 8 bigger than the last time you guys saw it last month. So here's number 135 because he's the only one that's not buried under headphone wires and things like that. But they're all pretty good. There's one that's a little bit of a duster, but for the most part, all real good additions to Beach Party 86. I'll get some shots up on Instagram sometime soon. Along the same while going through those travels, picked up a real nice set of Crimson Twins from 85. Can't beat those guys. I hadn't had them, like I never bought them new, right, back in the day. So to have a set that's that nice for as little as I paid for them, I feel like I stole it. There's also a nice Thrasher in there with his lacrosse stick that is way too big for the way his hands are, so I won't even try to put it in there.
Yep.
We got a complete Countdown. He's even got his his weird dental floss grappling hook backpack. So you can't beat that. And then I've got everybody's favorite, I'm going to cram my head into the sidewalk guy, Target. And he's complete, and his wing pack still works. And he's just good to, I'm going to take him out to the balcony and just throw him at the ground a bunch of times in celebration. So lots of neat additions to the vintage collection over the last 4 weeks. We got some other stuff too, but that'll give us something to talk about next time.
And how did you obtain these figures? Show, eBay, what?
Mostly eBay. Not all of them, but mostly. I'd have to go back through my notes, Roger.
Okay.
I don't have a Captain Cosmos Collectibles nearby to.
But neither do I, sadly enough.
Right. But there's Roger's kitty. Yes. And real quick, let's roll into shout outs. Roger, why don't you go ahead first? Give us a shout out there. Give us a health update too. I know that's been a problem for you last year.
I'll start with Huck Sanders, our publisher and partner in crime on this. He's helped us a lot, and he's working diligently behind the scenes to get us the books in hand. Same goes for Greg Augusta, the writer of Command Files and sort of our new partner. As far as health updates, got a steroid shot to the eye about a month and a half ago. That was fun. I was looking down the barrel of a needle. Surprisingly less painful than it sounds like.
Right. There's not a ton of nerves in there that feel things. So
more importantly, they numb the heck out of you before they do it. So reduces the psychological effect. But
I don't know if there's enough scotch in the world to get me to sit still for that one.
But because of that shot, that finally cleared up the infection in my eye, and that means we can now start looking at the cornea, and I'm likely going to get a cornea transplant. So.
Okay.
All right. Well done.
And then I might be able to see, but on top of that, I still have all the diabetes and So,
well, you don't have to go into that much detail, Roger. We know you're having problems with
that's the other half of it, though.
We don't need to go into where we're prying, but again, you told people about the issues, so we wanted to give people the resolution.
Exactly. Yeah. So the eye is coming close.
While they're doing the cornea thing, just have them swap out your O-ring too. It's a good idea.
I plan to. Yeah. I'm not quite as stretchy as I used to be.
No, they age poorly. That's not your fault. That's how they're made.
That's true. They disintegrate. So
you hanging out in all those hot, dry climates there, Roger. You need to move further to the coast.
At least as far as my O-ring is concerned, anyway.
Right. Josh, who are we shouting out to?
Well, Roger stole my two, Greg Augustin and Hawk Sanders. And I blew my shout out earlier to Phil Donnelly for helping with this the upcoming G.I. Joe International book. He wrote an awesome story that's just gonna blow everybody's mind when you look at like what they were doing in Japan for these comics and it's really super cool, and that'll probably be shown next year or Kickstarter sooner or later. Again, that's what back here, but when Phil sent that to me, I was like, oh my God, like I gotta really go steal his books.
So see, Phil, somebody does like you.
Or at least your books.
Yeah.
Right. If Philly could take or leave, but he does good work. So Mark Weber, shout it out.
Just a simple one, and guy not even in the community, but a real good friend of mine, Jameson, lost his mom. So, it's hard when you lose a parent. So, thoughts and prayers going out to him and it's tough time. That's my guy. So, some better times ahead.
Absolutely. I'm going to give a shout out to Racktime Rob, who has been benched this week. But yeah, he deserves a break once in a while, doesn't he?
Yeah. I suppose.
Give a shout out to Joe Colton. I know we teased her a little bit during the show today, but we love her and we hope she comes back soon. And of course, the wrist lock, and congratulations on both of them for getting that guest spot at AwesomeCon. I want to give a shout out to you two gentlemen, Josh and Roger, for joining us today. Round of applause.
Thank you for hosting.
He's clapping for himself.
Right. Look how miffed the cat is that she's going to mention, right?
Athena was clapping for me. I was clapping for Josh. So.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
But give a shout out to Athena for being on camera for as long as she has.
Yes.
Because we love our inadvertent cat shots on this show.
Absolutely.
Wait a minute. A dog has just arrived. There's Junkyard.
Oh yeah.
Hey, George, that's George. Is it showing? Yeah, you can see him.
Yeah, he's in there.
Here's George.
What the heck? What the heck's going on?
All right, got the obligatory dog shot.
Give me treats. I've been good for a long time. Give me treats.
I know. He's like, I gotta go pee. He's been talking a long time.
Hey, I'm excited. We're getting out of here in less than 2 hours for a change too. Give a shout out, of course, to our wonderful friends and sponsors at Kokomo Toys. Very quickly, we'll sing the theme song. Kokomo Toys. Kokomo Toys.
Kokomo.
You missed the cutoff. Give a shout out to our wonderful friend and lead-in Brian Lower. That's Hooded Cobra Commander 788. I imagine if you're subscribed here, you're probably already subscribed there. But if you're not, head on over, give them a look. They just passed 19,000 subscribers, so I wish we had any of that success. But hey, whatever. We'll take what we can get, slowly but surely. And that leads us, of course, to hit buttons, do all the cool YouTube stuff for us. We appreciate it. We provide 2 hours of this crap for you every week. The least you can do is click a couple things.
Yeah.
That's that. I won't beat you to death on that one any worse. But that's what we got for this week. That's it.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
Everybody.
Be sure to tune in for next week's episode of What's on Joe Mind. I'll be coming back from Kentucky, so God knows what kind of production value we're going to have. But we might be calling the cavalry, see if Mark can do some PowerPoint slides.
Yeah.
But yeah, I shudder to think of what'll happen there. But as our friend Vagon likes to say, stay safe, and if you can't, be careful. Be sure to join us next Tuesday at 9:05 here on the Superstation WOJM.
Yo, Joe.
Like and subscribe. Have a great rest of the week. Yo, Joe.
Beer.